You're watching Console Conversations.
Everybody on the internet has been saying 2020 was a historical year, and, well, you can debate all day long if it was good or bad, but at the same time, it was historic in terms of gaming. I'm going to be going over the three major console publishers and talking about how they did with their games and their announcements. Starting with Sony. The first major Sony release of the year was Dreams, which I actually recently started playing, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool. It's a very impressive game engine creation tool, and I think it has a lot of potential to bring unique experiences. There are already a lot of really cool games to play, and though I do think the game creator tool could do with a lot of tweaking in future updates and DLC, it's definitely impressive and has so much potential. They spent 6 to 7 years working on this game. They revealed it at the start of the PS4 and are going to be releasing it around the end of the PS4, and that's just insane to me. They worked so hard on this game, and it came out very, very impressive. It does have so much potential, and I do think it was one of the most unique games of the year. And then we get to The Last of Us Part 2, a game which released in mid-late June of 2020, and a few months beforehand, I believe a month or two beforehand, had its entire story leaked, which ended up not being the actual story at all. This sparked many people to refuse to buy the game, boycott it for being quote-unquote SJW propaganda, and at the same time, you had people saying it was going to suck and blah 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 because of these leaks, and then it finally came out. I pre-ordered the special edition like weeks in advance. I didn't care about these leaks at all. I knew I was gonna like at least the gameplay, and I played it and reviewed it, and to this day, at least at the time of recording this, my most viewed video ever is my Last of Us Part 2 review, and I've made multiple videos since then talking about it, and has my opinion changed? Definitely not. I still think it's one of the greatest games of all time, definitely the best game of 2020 in my opinion, my favorite game of 2020, my favorite game on the entire PS4, my third favorite game of all time, one of the greatest games of all time in my opinion. Such an insanely innovative and awesome story, such a cool concept, such a great execution with the gameplay, some of the most fun gameplay, some of the most unique gameplay, some of the best replay value. I played this game for almost 100 hours. That means I've played through it over 3 times in its entirety on normal, hard, and the hardest difficulty survivor, well, other than grounded. So yeah, you bet I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this game, and I gotta say, this game alone would have gotten them like a 3 out of 5 in my book, because it is so good. But, I mean, it wasn't the only game they put out that was this good. The next game is Ghost of Tsushima, which I did a review on this game too, and though I do really like the gameplay, it's very fun and in-depth and does a great job of, taking a simple beat-em-up style and adding a lot to it with only a few mechanics at its grasp, and I think the game developers did a great job here of making an encapsulating open world and an absolutely gorgeous game. This game looks like, depending on style, you could say this game looks better than Last of Us Part 2 because of how it goes for a different style, and It just looks absolutely fantastic, and I really do applaud them for doing both of those. The music is amazing, too. There are a lot of frame rate issues, not on PS5, but on PS4 there are some frame rate issues. I mean, they released free multiplayer, which is also really cool, and the story is probably the biggest drawback. It was not very good. It was very generic and bland. It had a lot of issues, treated itself too seriously. I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't very great. It was only really a 3 out of 5. So the game overall was probably a 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5 in that range. That's what I said in my review, was 4 out of 5. And yeah, I do really like this game. It was probably just a weaker title than The Last of Us Part 2. And the next game is the first PlayStation 5 game I'm talking about, which is the Demon's Souls remake. I played Sekiro once, I didn't like it. I played this game because I got it in the console bundle that I bought from a scalper, and I didn't like it. I just didn't. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people were a huge fan of this game, and I get why. It has a lot of cool ideas, and it looks phenomenal, and for the time it came out, it was great, and even to this day, I can see why a lot of people like it, but at the same time, it's definitely not for me. I played it, I really gave it a shot, and I just didn't like it. Sorry. But still a great, fantastic game. And then we get to another game I've already reviewed, which is Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which again is a great game. Probably one of my top games of 2020. Definitely the best PlayStation 5 launch title, in my opinion. Yeah, probably. And I think it did a great job of improving on the first game. Pretty much every flaw from that game is fixed here. And it adds so much new stuff too. It's very short, but it's so worth it. And so fun, and I just love Miles Morales so much. Another 5 out of 5 game in my book. And finally, Sackboy Big Adventure, another game I've reviewed. Not a masterpiece, but definitely a great experience. Near perfection, just few difficulty balancing issues. But regardless, it is so fun, so charming. And if you don't like the gameplay, buy it for the music alone. I mean, it's so good. And now that I think about it, literally every Sony game I played this year, other than Demon's Souls, was amazing. Especially The Last of Us Part 2, Miles Morales, and Sackboy. Ghost of Tsushima was weaker than those, in my opinion. But it was still fantastic, and then you got games like Bugsnax and The Pathless, which I reviewed also, and those games are great too, they're just on PC. Sony knocked it out of the park this year, and the PlayStation 5 itself, which I've also done a review on, is a 5 out of 5 console. It's such a great console too. And they announced so many things like Horizon 2, Ratchet & Clank, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Returnal, and Destruction All-Stars. All those games are confirmed to come out this year. Some of them have already come out, and they're all gonna be great, I think. Yeah, I mean, what the heck? These are such... They did such an amazing job. I can't say anything negative about them, really. Sony knocked it out of the park, and the overall score for Sony in 2020, PlayStation more specifically, 5 out of 5. No debate. Nintendo started off the year strong with a game I wasn't interested in at all. I'm still not interested in it, and that was Animal Crossing New Horizons. But I have to give credit because this game really pushed the series forward. It helped a lot of people get through quarantine. It seems very fun. Well, I didn't innovate a lot, but I think it was a good game. I think it was quality, and I just wasn't interested personally. It was definitely a good way for them to start off the year, however. Then later on in July, we got the surprise no one was expecting, Paper Mario The Origami King, which I actually played and really enjoyed. It's a fantastic game, 4.5 out of 5 in my book, and definitely one of the strongest games of the year, and for me, personally. I've never played the old one, so you might say I'm biased. This is the first one I've ever played, but as far as RPGs and games in general goes, this is so creative and fun. And such a good combat system, in my opinion. I just really liked it. Then we have Mario 3D All-Stars, the scourge of my existence. This game is a $60 full-price game that came out in the year 2020. It compiles 3 games that are not changed, have terrible controls sometimes, terrible audio quality and graphical quality sometimes. They didn't even try to get them to run at a higher resolution or frame rate. Some of them aren't even widescreen, for God's sake. And it's $60 for games that are 10 to 20 years old. The newest game in this collection is almost 14 years old. And they're selling it for $60 and they changed nothing. Whereas Crash and Spyro have 3 fully remade from the ground up games for $40. Are you kidding me? And they run flawlessly. Rip off, terrible game. Terrible practice. And then Nintendo followed that up with a bunch of anti-consumer stuff, not putting out any other games, and then they finally redeemed themselves with Age of Calamity, which I did a review on, and I think it's a masterful game. Such great gameplay. Takes a simple story, executes it near flawlessly. Much better voice acting. Amazing graphics that somehow run so stably. Great music. Amazing music. And a great system of gameplay. An amazing game, but this is really the only big thing other than Paper Mario that sticks out to me from this year. Nintendo did so much so wrong this year, and so many bad things, and so many mediocre games released by third parties that they pushed so hard, like stupid Bravely Default 2, which may be a good game, but the way it looks and the voice acting is so bad. Like, what was wrong with them this year? I liked Age of Calamity a lot. It was an amazing game, one of the best games of all time in my opinion. And I loved Paper Mario to death, but that was really it. I can only really give them a 3 out of 5, and that's being generous. Not a good year for them. Xbox. They suck. I mean, they do every single year. Was this year any different? No. I'm not gonna do any of the fancy video clips, editing tricks for this one. I'm just gonna tell you, their console was a mess. It launched with no big games. Halo Infinite got delayed, and they didn't have that to save them, so they had Bleeding Edge and Battletoads on the Xbox, which were fine games. They got mediocre reviews. And then, you had, I guess you had a few other announcements, like Fable, that were good, but really nothing special. I mean, I know we're supposed to be disappointed by Microsoft every year, but this year they were pushing a new console. They bought so many new studios. It was supposed to be really good. But in the end, it just sucked. But it's not like that was much of a surprise. So if you're wondering my final opinions, here they are. PlayStation knocked it out of the park with every single game, every single announcement, every single console, every single event. They did an amazing job throughout the whole year. 5 out of 5. Nintendo, anti-consumer practices everywhere, terrible announcement schedules, really bad press, but 2 fantastic games. And one that I didn't play, but is supposed to be really good too. And Xbox was exactly what I expected, but also not what I expected. Not a great year for Xbox and Nintendo, but for Sony, fantastic time. So, yeah, that's what I thought of 2020, and oh my god. This is the end of Console Conversations Season 3. I've been doing this for 3 seasons, and the 4th one is next. 4 seasons. Can you imagine? Don't worry. It's not going away anytime soon. I plan to do many, many seasons over years to come. I'm not even considering quitting anytime soon. I have so many ideas. Season 4 is going to be better than ever, bigger and better than ever, with more people than ever. But I'm really sad to see Season 3 go. This was a really big season. I think it had a lot of great videos, and I really want to thank you guys for watching. So be safe. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Walter the Germany Ball. This has been Console Conversation Season 3, and goodbye.